This episode of Ridin the Line is brought to you by Specialized. Right now, the Levo lineup is dialed. 3 bikes, 3 different missions. Ross has been on the new Levo R Rally, and that thing is what most riders actually need. Full power, lighter, more agile, and way more fun on everyday trail. The Levo 4 is still the benchmark for power, range, and all-around capability. And then there's the new Levo 4 Evo. It's a straight-up electronic enduro bike, built for when things get steep, fast, and rough, but still climbs like it should. Head over to specialized.com and find your nearest retailer to check them out. All right, let's get to it. Enjoy the podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Ridin the Line podcast.
Thanks.
We've got another great guest on today. As I always say, it's we took a little bit of time off. Had a few life events going on. Myself was out for about 2 weeks getting married, and Ross got to live some of that up with me. So it's good to see him and his now fiance, Miss Leah. I got to party with us. Was it this past weekend? Yeah,
it was.
So that was fun, man. And man, got to ride this morning. Things are good, dude. And I know Ross has been working his ass off as usual.
Yeah.
But again, thank you to our sponsors, man. We got Specialized Bicycles on board. Got to ride my Levo Evo this morning and zip through the trails in a solid 30 minutes. So that was awesome. And I got my SL right here. So Specialized all around. Love those guys. And I know Mr. Ross got to have dinner with Tony and is it his fiance?
Yeah, Jen.
Yeah. So yeah. Tony, the Southeast rep for Specialized, they got together, and yeah, just big thanks to him and the team. They've been making some great product releases, I should say, recently with their e-bike lineup and just all around. And it is in the works to get Tony back on to talk about some of those new releases. So look for that in the future. Lots of good things there. And also want to thank Gutter Getters. Man, they work hard.
We've been getting those gutters, man. We excluded the squirrels from this one house today. Oh, it was hot. But yeah, we're getting gutters. We're doing the thing. We're getting ready for fall.
Real quick, Ross, tell everybody like what, because we haven't really gone in depth. I mean, like, don't make it 10 minutes, but like, what exactly does Gutter Getters offer, and where are you located, and where will you drive to, and all that?
So we're located currently. We're out of East Atlanta Village. I service probably 80% of my business is up in Big Canoe, so Jasper, Ellijay, Blue Ridge area. And then I've got a good bit of business down here in town. But anywhere in the perimeter, we can service. What do we do? Well, we clean gutters. We install gutters. We do roof washes. We do pressure washing of your house, your driveway, your flat and your vertical surfaces. I can seal driveways. We do minor wood repair, soffit repair. Just got done building a deck, did a whole Trex deck. Anything exterior maintenance, pretty much under that shell, give us a call. We've expanded to do lots and lots of things, exterior maintenance. And if it's something that I don't do, I'm going to tell you straight up, hey, never done that professionally. We can talk about it further if you want. But yeah, all those things that I listed, pretty much most of the things that we do professionally. Anything exterior maintenance. We do a lot of tree trimming. Right now, I'm taking down we had a probably 8,000 pound tree, a big old oak fall in the woods, and we're cutting it up and getting it and shipping it out. So do all types of odd jobs, just your general exterior handyman. I think that was like a minute and a half, too. Maybe.
That was good. Yeah, and for everybody, for all these sponsors we have, the contacts are below, whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple. You can just scroll down to the show notes, the descriptions, and find Ross's contact for Gutter Getters if you any of that interests you, if you know anybody that interests you. And then as well as Specialized, to get you to your nearest retailer, you can do so right here in the show notes and description. But I will stop rambling. Ross.
I got one thing to add.
Yes.
Halloween coming up. We will put Halloween decorations in the highest places that you don't want to go. We will absolutely do that. Christmas is coming up. We will put your Christmas lights, your holiday lights, anywhere high up that you want to go. So if you got hard to reach places and you want to put some ghouls and some Santa Clauses up there, we got you covered, man.
Yeah. Even if he falls, it's okay. You're insured, right?
Absolutely not. No, we ain't gonna stop. We ain't gonna talk about that. haven't had it happen yet. Thank God. Been close, but nope. Yeah, and if it's sketchy, we'll rope in. But moving on.
I think I'm done rambling. If you want to bring our wonderful guest in, brother.
Good. I absolutely do. But what are you drinking on? What's going on? What's in the cup? What's in the can?
I took a hiatus off of the adult beverages for a while after the reception we had, but back at it with a good Coors Banquet tonight. Starting
Classic Coors.
So yeah, I figured with you boys on the show, we gotta have a little beverage.
I found a nice new can. This thing is bad, brother. The Voodoo Ranger G-Force. I was like, oh, cool, they got a new can. I didn't really read it. I was in a rush. I was talking to Lon on the phone, and I didn't realize it was an 11%. So this will be interesting.
All those Voodoos, dude, are route like those. There's certain. Oh, he's got Hazy Snake, dude. That's
Hazy Snake. Yeah,
that's Alabama beer.
Oh, what brewery is that from?
That's Good People.
Yeah, Good People. Yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Eccentric Southern Ale.
Dude. Yeah, that's a good beer. I like that one. I actually brought this is a Montana beer.
Oh yeah,
that I brought back.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Roy, this dog just pulled. I don't know if you heard it. He's got a box of bones, and instead of he'll pick a bone out of it. He just picked up the whole box. So, he's an 80-pound Cane Corso pit mix, and if he wants to move something, he will move it. Yeah, he just turned up a whole box of bones. That's wild. But anyway, let's bring in the man, Lon Cullen. Lon, what's going on? How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to getting a chat with you guys.
Yeah, we're excited. So Lon and I met, years ago.
Yeah.
Just kind of organically crossed paths riding bikes. Told me a little bit about what he does, which I'm going to let him go into a little bit more, but he does some bike coaching. Been doing that for the better part of a decade. And then we kind of bounced. I was working at Maxxis and we ran into each other there. And I think we got you hooked up with some tires.
You sure did. Yeah, we met at Windrock at one of the Tennessee National. I was volunteering and we exchanged information, and you got me hooked up for some Maxxis tires, which was great. Yeah.
Heck yeah. And then most recently we crossed paths at Jared's place. We were riding on the shuttle, heading up, and I kind of looked over and I was like, this dude, I know this guy. And I was like, you're Lon Cullen. And we had that moment on the shuttle, and then I was like, we got the podcast. Lon's been listening to the pods. So I was like, man, this would be a great guy to have on, a wealth of knowledge, incredibly humble guy, and part of the older generation, but absolutely out there shredding. And every time I get on a bike and I follow you or ride in front of you, whatever it is, your speed is always impressive, sir. So tell us a little bit about your background and what all you got going on.
Yeah, so I'm not a former professional mountain biker or anything like that. I was telling Ross earlier that sometimes I kind of think, gosh, there are so many other people that could do a better job of what I do than what I do, because they bring that professional pedigree and have raced all over the world. I actually, my vocation before I retired I was a hospice chaplain. So I visited people who had, according to their doctor, 6 months or fewer to live. And so I was in ministry for nearly 20 years. And that during that time, I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was so neat because, I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how poor you are. I don't care your skin color, your education, whatever, you're going to die. And, I was able to I was able to be into all those houses, in the roughest areas of town to the richest areas of town, and hopefully bring some comfort to those people. But after about 2,000 people, I think who I saw before they died, we were getting more and more children. I was just getting to the point where I couldn't do it anymore, so my wife and I talked, and I retired from that and became a stay-at-home dad, and so did
Awesome.
that for many years, and then I always thought I was a good mountain biker, amateur mountain biker. And then I took a lesson from a guy who flew in from Colorado to Alabama, where I live. And I realized I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And that kind of started the fire about 10 years ago, because at that point, my kids were getting older. I could leave them alone more to do their thing. And so I needed a part-time job. And that's how my mountain bike coaching business started, going from a hospice chaplain to a mountain bike coach, So, yeah.
That is quite the transition, sir. So tell us a little bit about what you got going on with the coaching, single track skills. Tell us a little bit about, I know you do a lot of traveling with it. So yeah, tell us just a little bit about what goes on with all the coaching and everything you do.
Yeah. So, about 10 years or so ago, I tried to get as much coaching myself as possible to make sure that I understood the right way to corner and descend and all that stuff. And
Mhm.
that way I wasn't spreading bad information. And from then I started traveling, teaching basic clinics. I think 15 different states I've taught in, and maybe 3 different countries, something like that. And, the clients have added up. I think last I counted, it had been about 700 different clients. And it's all pretty basic stuff I teach, but like anything, any sport, the basics executed at a higher level is what makes the difference. You know what I mean? So we do a lot on
Absolutely.
cornering, basic jumping, so you don't dead sailor, and all of that stuff. But it's been really great. I don't travel as much anymore. I kind of been there, done that. In terms of my coaching, I travel for my own fun riding now, but I do most of my coaching right here in Alabama, because I know, really good progression for what my customers need, know right where to take them, so that we can mitigate the risk of them crashing, and they're not getting on something too difficult but not too easy and everything. But it's a lot of fun. It's really fun to meet people where they are, and my goal with every one of my customers is get them better by the end of the day and get them true confidence, not false confidence. So it's really
Yeah.
been rewarding.
So as far as coaching goes, I have a few different questions, but the one
Yeah.
that stands out to me would be like, as far as the licenses, have you had any uh, like licenses, or have you taken any classes as far as that goes? I know there's a handful of different um, classifications and stuff like that goes. So what are you certified in?
Yes, so I started off actually in Whistler. I got certified as a professional mountain bike instructors association, PMBA.
MBI. Yeah.
Yeah, level 1 there, and that was really good. And at that point in time, after I did that, I kind of made a decision, instead of just staying with one licensing company, I would try to take as many private lessons as I could from all sorts of different athletes and coaches. So, like Nico, whenever he owned Windrock, I took a lesson with him. There's a local pro here of Barry Nobles, major BMX guy. I'm going to be trying, and I still try to do this over, every year. I've got a lesson set up with Johan and
Cool.
Whistler. I'm leaving in September. I'm going to, I actually signed up for a class with Aaron Gwynn too, but that hasn't happened yet. I got injured before the last class. So that's kind of what I did. Instead of trying to chase the certifications and get higher and higher, I tried to kind of spread it out a little bit, and get more personalized coaching for my writing ability, and then I could then translate that to my customers.
Okay, very cool. And then where are you located in Alabama? Like,
In a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama.
okay,
So
outside of Birmingham.
Yep. Yep.
Your closest trail systems are
Yeah, Oak
Mountain?
Mountain State Park. Oak Mountain State Park is my closest trail system, and it's really kind of cool because it's always been a kind of a cross country, environment. But we've built some pretty rad rock rolls that actually we named one of them Squamish Ish because it's pretty steep, pretty rowdy, and we named another one North Shore, and we've had some of the guys from Transition Bicycles, roll through, and we've taken them up there, and they're like, these are cool enough you could give them their own name, so that was pretty cool. But
Nice.
it's fun to have that in Alabama, and of course nobody expects to find those here, and I've not found any bigger rock rolls anywhere in the Southeast. I mean, I've found some rock rolls, but it's pretty cool to find them, here and ride them. But yeah, that's at my home trail, 20 minutes away. We also go to Coldwater, which is in between me and Ross in Atlanta. That's a great place to go when it's really wet, raining a lot, and yeah, but we've got some good riding here. I rode today, in fact.
I rode Oak Mountain. I raced a Squirrely Dave race out there.
Yeah.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
It's good. Alabama riding's good, man. I don't get over there enough. I want to go to Coldwater more often. I feel like I take like a once a year Coldwater.
Sure.
Just to do it. Do you know Eric Hagen? Does that name ring?
Yeah, he's great personality. Yeah, he's a really gifted talker. Yeah.
He was actually Ross. I was actually texting with Eric because I've known Eric throughout the racing scene and stuff. And then I just recently he works at Fox as well, and I saw him when I was visiting the Alabama plant, and so I wanted to connect with him and get him on the pod because he is a celebrity as far as Southeast mountain biking goes.
For sure,
he could be a good one.
Yeah,
that's killer. Right on. Small world.
Yeah, it is. I figured you would know him if you ride at Oak Mountain.
Area. Very small. Yeah. He's a good guy. Cancer survivor, and just really a neat guy. I like him a lot.
For sure. So how did you? My last question following that thought was your beginning days of mountain biking. Is mountain biking something you've always done? Or have you done it your whole life? Did you just now get into it? What made you get into it, and how have you followed it this long, and got into coaching?
Yeah, good question. So I'm almost 59, and I've been on two wheels since I was very, very young. I don't know when I started, but very, very young. Did the BMX thing. That was a lot of fun. Back when nobody had helmets, and I actually remember my first BMX race, I had to borrow a helmet because, I didn't even own one. Race some at an amateur level, nothing, very major or anything like that. And then all through my life, I would take whatever bike I had and find whatever gnarly creek that, you're not supposed to ride a bike in, and we would send it down through the creek and everything. So, did that for years and years until I think I got my first really good mountain bike whenever I was in college. And I think it was like a giant something or other, you know what I mean? With a super long stem that hang way out over the front wheel. And
not something you want to ride at Windrock is what you're saying?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. But yeah, so my dad, my father and I, he's passed away, but we used to ride dirt bikes together. So we had as a matter of fact, I found a drawing that I made when I was 10 years old. That one when I was 5 years old, when he died, and all this stuff that made, I don't know if you can see it, but it's it's like a rider with a moon helmet on, and so we would ride enduro type of trails, a lot of steep climbs and technical descents and stuff over the years. So that a lot of that stuff translated a lot to the mountain bike, and I just continued to kind of hang in there with the mountain bike, and the mountain bike started getting better and better, and it's been a lot of fun for sure.
That's killer. So kind of lifelong on two wheels.
100%. Yeah. Never really graded anything, but kind of like maybe a B- at everything. You know what I mean?
I don't know about that. Being modest. Well, dude, that's some incredible stuff. So once you kind of left the full-time career, decided to go and do the coaching thing. So you've talked a little bit about it, but now currently, one of the other questions I want to kind of follow up on what Cason said is, are you doing mostly private stuff? Do you do group stuff? How do you kind of structure the lessons?
Yeah, I mainly only do group stuff now. I was doing private lessons, a lot of that, and now what I do is I do group stuff, and it's pretty much all here in Alabama. And I basically have 3 courses that I do over and over. I try to do them like once a month or so. And one is I call ground control one, which is your body position, your braking. I have done a lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and so I've learned from that how to break fall, and I've tried to incorporate some of that into my material because we're all going to crash at some point in time. So we talk about how to crash when you do have to crash, and I work all that in my first course,
That's
cornering.
interesting.
Yeah, and then I have a second course where we start doing bunny hopping and difference between American bunny hop, English bunny hop. Things that really kind of stall people out, and try to work through that in the second class. And then the third class is my basic jumps and drops. We're just talking how to stand tall, how not to dead sailor, how with a drop not have that rear wheel hang up and send you over the bars, and it's all very basic stuff. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. So I've gotten some of the what used to be NICA coaches. I've been able to coach the coaches, help them for these kids that are so good and ready to push the limit. To kind of prepare them to help these young athletes. And but yeah, all sorts of different customers, from 5 years old to probably 75 years old over the years. So it's been a lot of fun, and I plan on continuing to do it as long as my body will allow me to do it. It's a lot of fun for sure.
On that same topic, I'm curious, what is the most common issue that you run into that a beginner to an intermediate rider you see the most of people struggling with, or they're struggling with it and they have no idea they're even struggling with it, and they just form those habits? Like, what do you see?
That is a great question. The most common thing, and it usually always comes from people who think that they're too good for lessons, and I mentioned that I was one of those people, at one point. But the most common thing is the lie that when you descend something steep, that you really get far back. Yeah.
Ross, did we not just have this conversation on this podcast? One episode ago? We literally just talked about this, Lon. Because I was riding with a fellow friend of mine at a very steep trail system that we have. And his ass was, behind the rear axle. And I'm like, dude, what do you think happens when you do that? You have no traction on your front wheel.
Right.
Your front wheel is now completely weightless, So that's so funny.
Yeah. And it's funny because, you'll hear a guy coaching his girlfriend, or a guy coaching his kids. And we have what used to be a technical section here. It's not very technical in our viewpoint anymore, but you can get hurt on it. It's called Blood Rock at our local.
I was going to say, I bet you're going to say Blood Rock. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you stop there and you listen to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about, coach their kids or their significant other, they're going to say, the person crashes, and they'll get up and say, you weren't far enough back, and if, you lock your elbows out, then you're at the end of the rope. And when, not if, your front wheel slides, you have no way to recover. So you're going to crash. So yeah, that's probably the biggest lie I've heard. And you hear it over and over. There are more lies like that, but that's the one that you hear people say over and over. And, I try to just not, I try not to,
yeah. Do not approach.
La, 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 la.
Yeah. It's kind of like looking in a gun to see if it's loaded. You know what I mean? It's not a good idea.
It's not a good game. one of the other things that you had said, you're like, okay, so I got my PMBI level 1, and that's what I have as well. It seems like you went up to Whistler to do yours, which is killer. Yeah, that's rad. I did mine over in Boone.
Nice.
Yeah, that was fun with Christian. It was great. And then a good friend of mine, Terry Watts, she got her level 1 the same time I did. So it was fun. We had a really good crew. Whistler would have been epic. But one of the things that I've done some limited coaching here and there, and I've done some stuff with Ninja, and I've done some private stuff. It's for me, it was just really making the jump and like having the money for the insurance, and there's so many hoops to jump through, as you well know. I never pushed to make it like a full time or part time thing. It was something that I'm glad I've got it, and I'm glad I did it. I think maybe in the future do a whole lot more. But one of the things that I noticed and that you said that really resonated with me was that you went and you learned from the pros. You're like, I went and got coached. You're a coach getting coached by the best that are out there. So what I found when I took my level 1 instructor course when I was the student learning how to coach, and through the coaching that I've done, I've found that I've become a better writer because I'm now a better coach. Because I'm out there coaching and just like you said, I'm drawing those fundamentals in. When you think about, and also kind of refining your personal style. Some people and the pros talk about it all the time. When some pros corner, they're flat pedal. Others, inside, outside. So and you find what works with you. But from your perspective, I want to find out, one, did you have that same kind of learning curve within yourself as you coached more? You found that you got better? And then also maybe what were some of the things that the pros told you, or some of their perspectives, some of those little, pieces of info that you learned from them, that really elevated, one, your coaching, and two, your writing?
Yes. So, one of the things that come to mind right off was a private lesson that I had in Whistler, one of my Whistler trips in the bike park. And I remember, by this time I'd had quite a few lessons. And so I wasn't like new to coaching. I kind of knew the language and I knew what my coach was saying. And he kept telling me that I wasn't low enough. And I kept telling him I kept arguing with him, right? Because I believed I was low enough, right? And he took a video of me and he was right, And so, I think probably one of the biggest takeaways from taking lessons from other people who are good writers is they can see what you're doing and you can't see it. Like, I don't care how good you are, you cannot look outside yourself and look in. So that coach's eye, and usually it has to be followed up with a video if you're as stubborn as I am to prove their case, right? And so I think that's the most valuable, one of the most valuable things, that I've gained. And let me see. The second part of that question.
So I'm going to interrupt you before you went on.
Yeah.
What was too high? Was it your head, your shoulders, your butt, or like all three?
Yeah. So, I would not have necessarily been too high for a certain section of trail, but for what we were working on, I was too high. I needed to bend my knees more, right?
So it was the knees.
For that section. Yeah.
But when you're kind of in that attack mode or in your attack.
Yeah. It was on a pretty steep slab. I think it was Original Sin there in the bike park, and it was fun. Raining. It was raining a lot. And, so I was nervous about a lot of things, that I would not normally be nervous about. And, so I think part of the coaching thing also is realizing that there are different body positions for different sections of trail. It's
100%.
Just like you have a large screwdriver, a small screwdriver, a Phillips, a flat, and I think the more exposure you get to really good coaches, the more you realize that there's a lot in your toolbox that you can choose from. You know, it's actually pretty complicated to ride at the height of your ability. You know, you have a lot of options there, and you know that because you've seen that and experienced that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Carry on now. What was the second thing?
Yeah, the second thing was actually kind of surprising. So I just got back from a trip, a once in a lifetime trip. It was my 20th wedding anniversary. We went to the Alps in Europe, and I got to ride in the French Alps. I reached out to a lot of the people that we know who are pros, and asked them, where's the best place in Europe to ride, and they all came back with this same area, the Morzine, France area. And so I did what I've learned there's a wise thing to do. I hired a guide and a coach, and he's a former XC, World Cup pro and unbelievable downhill rider as well, of course. And I've had all kinds of cornering lessons. I've heard all kinds of cornering lessons. I've taught all kinds. And he gave me another tip. And I had never really thought about it. He was talking about my knees. He said, when you corner, try to bring your knees together, kind of like you're a snow skier. And so like that outside knee kind of use it to push the frame, and don't let the inside knee fall really far out, try to kind of almost like you're skiing moguls. And so that's what I've been working on ever since I got back from the Alps. Even today, I was working on, using my knee pad and feeling that frame. Now, that's not the answer for every situation. Of course, if you're in a really rough section, you need to let that bike kind of bounce in between your knees. You know what I mean? Kind of be bow-legged, but it's another thing to add in the toolbox. So that's my most recent thing, and hopefully, in the next time I'm a student, I'll pick up another little tip.
That's really cool. And yeah, you see a lot of the pros doing it, especially when they're moving, whether it's on trail or downhill, when they get those knees together and then they really get that bike to rotate. Like,
Yes.
that's one of the coolest things that I see with folks cornering on videos. And that's where a lot of like the super shroud comes from, is bringing those knees in. That's really cool.
It's funny. I don't ever think about this stuff when I ride. I genuinely,
Sure.
because I've just rode since I can remember. And from the progression I've had, I feel like I'm a pretty good rider.
Mm-hmm.
Not bad.
Not hopefully I'm don't sound too egotistical about it, but I feel like I'm a decent rider. I ride most of every trail I see. So, but that being said, I don't ever think about the technique portion, and especially recently in the last couple of years, Ross and I have talked about it numerous times in the podcast. Life gets busy. You don't ride as much. So you almost start to think about it again, because you want to be safe. Because, like Ross and I have talked about in the past, just because I haven't rode in a couple of months doesn't mean I'm not going to go ride the double black or not hit that 60-foot jump at Jared's. Like, I'm still going to do it. So like consciously thinking about stuff like that, of like having technique so you are safe because you haven't rode in 4 weeks.
That's right. Yeah.
Stuff like that. I've started to begin thinking about that again, or thinking about it for the first time, I should say. So it's kind of cool to kind of be like your own, do kind of research on your own technique in a way.
Sure. Yeah.
When you start to ride, and I'm actually watching a video on my Instagram of me cornering, a slow-mo video at Jared's, and I do push my knees in, and where I was going with that is I think I literally learned how to do that roosting corners. Like when I learned how to rock a corner is when I really learned how to corner.
Right.
So if you can square up a corner, hit that 90 degree, and just like tear your tire off, it kind of gives you something. And obviously it's probably not the right way, but I'm just saying, me personally, when I started doing that is when I kind of learned pushing your knees together.
Sure.
And I think a lot of people don't really think about technique, man. I really don't. And a lot of it for me was the motocross scene. I'm really heavy into the motocross stuff, Supercross, and so I listen to a lot of those podcasts and listen to a lot of those coaches, and some of that stuff is transferable as far as rider weight goes and how that bike reacts to rider weight and stuff like that. It is. it is a lot of the same stuff in a way. And that's kind of changed my mind. But yeah, I just wanted to add my 2 cents there as going, my gears were turning.
Well,
Yeah,
and
and
go ahead, Lon, go ahead.
I was going to say my experience has been like I've had so many coaches that I've paid for lessons that I'm not really hearing anything brand new. Like the
Sure.
foundation is pretty much calm now. But what I will say is every new coach I have gives me at least one little nugget that I hadn't heard before, or I hadn't heard in the way they say it when they look at my writing. Now, they may
Right.
not say that about your writing, but they're saying it about mine. And what I'm interested in is how that I can be a better writer because I'm a student, right? Now, if I'm a coach, I'm interested in how you can be, and they'll give me that little nugget. And that little nugget to me is priceless. Like any other sport, if you're going to be serious about it, like I don't care what that sport is, you just don't know it all. You have to get help, and you have to get
Mhm.
help outside yourself, looking at you and giving you feedback. That's kind of the way I see it.
I think it's so cool how you put yourself in your students' shoes, and I think that gives you a better perspective as a coach. And I think you're probably one of the few that actually does that. So yeah, big applause. Like you make yourself better, you make your students better. And it's when you see that aha moment that they have, like you have that perspective on, oh man, I remember when I had that. Like how good does it
Yes.
feel? Because we can get as coaches, we can just get desensitized to that. Be like, oh yeah, they figured it out. Cool, right? And for you,
Yeah.
as you continue to develop in your own journey, you're like, oh yeah, man, I remember that, and that lets you really connect with folks. Probably a whole lot more than just those guys that are going out and just doing the coaching and coaching and coaching and coaching. So yeah, mad ups on that. And one of the things too, what you said took me back to when I did my level one. One of the things that Christian told us, he goes, or a question that he put to us, and I'm gonna direct this at Cason because Lon, you're gonna know exactly where I'm going with this because you've done it. What's the difference between balance and stability? Mhm.
I mean,
If I stand on one foot,
yeah,
am I
I would say, ooh, I mean, I can tell you what they are separately, but comparing the two is I would say stability is oh, dude, that's tough.
yeah?
Hold on.
So
I mean,
if I stand on one foot, am I balanced?
yeah,
Am I stable?
it depends.
If I get down like a linebacker, right, and I'm squatted, am I balanced?
No.
Yeah, you are.
Well,
I'm not falling over.
oh, your squat. I see. I see.
I'm
I see.
squatted down like a linebacker ready to
You're
hit
balanced,
the other guy. I'm
but
balanced.
you're more stable. So I guess it's
I'm
like,
more stable.
yeah. So I see what you mean. You can
So
be balanced. It doesn't mean you're stable.
stability, the difference between balance and stability is the ability to resist outside forces, right? So if that outside force comes and hits that linebacker, he's not going anywhere. I'm standing on one foot. That outside force comes to hit me. I'm going over, right? So as rider skill goes up, the
Yeah.
need for stability
Yeah.
goes down, right? So if you watch like any one of the top pros going through a rock garden, they are knees in, that bike's pinging all around, but their
Yeah.
head, right? And so if one of the spectators went out and went boop on their shoulder, they'd be over. Their skill is massive, but they're riding that thin line where they don't have a whole lot of stability. If an outside force like a raccoon,
Yeah.
just rabid raccoon came in from the left, right, they're going to take them out. But that less experienced, that less skilled rider needs to be wide. They need to be elbows out. They need to be knees out because
Yeah.
that's going to make them more stable as
Yeah.
they learn. So as your skill goes up, your need for stability goes down.
Yeah. So one of the things where I had an aha moment on what you're saying, Ross, is
Yeah.
when I was in Whistler and we were riding the lift up, and my instructor pointed down and he said, "You see that guy right there riding below us?" and he was all crouched into what I would call an attack position with his knees bent, his elbows out, and everything. He was very stable, right? But the problem was he was stable all the way down the mountain. He never changed. So
He
the
never chilled
problem
out.
is
We
he's
call
going to get
those
tired. He's
we
going
call
to get
those
tired,
Joeys.
right?
The
And
Joey, yeah.
so,
We call
so
those Joeys.
the better your rider you are, the taller you can stand because you don't need that stability. What you need instead is more air in your shock so that when you hit something, you can withstand the forces and then your legs aren't as tired because you're standing taller, right?
AKA
And
your body shock, not your bike shock.
that's right.
Yeah.
But if you're so stable that you're so low, you can't help it. You don't have any air in your shock. So
You ain't got no travel.
right. So it's those are the kind of things that I point out in my first classes. Like you need to be stable like a football or like a picnic table when you need to be stable. But if you look at a Greg Menard or somebody or Asa, they're not going to have the same body position that you need. They're going to be really tall because they're going really fast and they need more air in their shock in their leg shocks, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Yeah.
I have a slightly controversial question.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh boy, this is gonna piss some people off.
Here we go. Have a drink of beer, right?
Let's do it. Let's take a sip
right,
and let's
Lon.
get to it.
All right, Lon. There is a handful of folks I know that are God. I got like 2 questions out of this. Well, but there's a handful of folks I know in the moto industry as well as the mountain bike industry that offer online coaching, and they only offer online coaching. So, to my understanding, you are an in-person coach. You build those relationships. What do you think those differences are? What is the benefit of having online coaching? What is the negatives to online coaching? Do you think it just sucks all around? Do you think the relationship building? I kind of want to get your 2 cents on this.
Sure.
I have an opinion on it, but I would love to hear yours.
Yeah, so sometimes whenever I'm asked a question like this about our sport, mountain biking, I try to step outside of our sport and ask the same question for a different sport to see what I would say for that, because that kind of brings some objective, an objective viewpoint. So the same thing was going. The other sport I do is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I don't know if you know, they started the UFC 30 years ago, the Gracie family. So I've done that for 23 years. And that is going on in that sport as well. You can get your blue belt with just online classes, right? And people are just coming apart at the seams. You shouldn't be able to do that. You need to be in a gym and I need to be able to grapple with you and submit you and everything. And so you hear that same argument in a different sport, right? And I can see the pros and cons of it, but definitely the con in that sport is you don't really grapple with a real instructor because it's online, right? So there's definitely a deficit there. And I think if we were to move that question over to the sport that we're talking about, mountain biking, I think there's a similarity to it in that if I'm just watching you online, I can only see the videos you give me, right? I can't move around you. I can't see different sides of what your body is doing. Does that make sense? So I think we're missing out a little bit, just like we're missing out a little bit with this conversation being over an iPhone than what it would be if we were actually in person. Now, whether the customer feels like they're missing out so much that it warrants a real live person with a pulse right there with them, that's up to the customer. They're probably getting better just doing, either one. I mean, doing at least the online stuff than what they would if they didn't. But I would say that I think to get the best value, you would need to supplement it with a real live human being watching you and riding with you and giving you feedback.
I think too, there's a huge, if you talk about what I'm going to talk about, like training, let's say it's nutrition, weight training, something like that. I think online could very well 100%, satisfy those requirements that you have. But I do believe, and if this is what you're talking about, Cason, is if it is a skill-based activity, I feel like in person, you're going to get a more quality experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I would agree.
What's your thought?
I mean, yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys. I agree with you guys 100%, and I don't know if I can be like completely trustworthy on recording, but yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, there's two companies that come to mind right off the top of my head. One's in the moto industry and one's in the mountain bike industry. They're both very similar. And I think both of those companies are very, very, very sales oriented.
Sure.
Rather than service oriented.
Right.
I'm saying exactly what you just said, Lon, just in different words. It's just you just don't get the hands-on approach, and I think at the end of the day, mountain biking is a contact sport. You're holding on to handlebars that are attached to your fork, that are attached to your wheel, that are attached to the ground. So at the end of the day, like, unless it's a training program, if you're trying to teach skills, I think you need a one-on-one coach, man. I really do. It's not the same watching videos that are submitted into you. It's not the same as, it's just not. Now, to give devil's advocate for the online folks, right?
Sure.
Some people just don't have time, man. Some people don't have time to drive. Some people don't have time to meet up with a coach.
Yeah.
And that's where programs like that really come in handy for them. I was pretty in tune with the online mountain biking coaching for a little while. And a lot of those folks, those customers we're talking about, these guys have so much money, dude. They're executives. All they do is work. They mountain bike rarely, but they know they want to get better and be safer, so their wife keeps letting them mountain bike, So that's where that client comes in, just to be a little devil's advocate. But as far as like a mountain bike enthusiast goes, a mountain bike athlete, man, it's nothing like if Lon and I were on the trail right now and he's coaching me. It's just nothing like it. But it does rub me the wrong way, the sales orient portion of the online stuff,
Well, I think it's cool. Sorry to cut you off, Lon. I think it's cool that for the online folks, like if you can sit in your Tesla on the way home from work and you can watch how to take off on twos versus taking off on fours and not dead sailor, right? And you can learn that basic concept, right? Where the personal coach comes in is what I'm going to call the feedback loop, right? You can take in that information and now you have it in your head. But just like we said, like you can't, unless you go set up a camera and you see if you're taking off on twos versus on fours, then you have no way of really feeling that. Or unless you were very in tune with what you're doing, you don't have what I call that feedback loop. And I think that's where the extra value comes in.
Yeah, for sure. And like, I just know from...
I'm about to have a salesman come to my door, so y'all keep going.
Okay.
Speaking of...
I just know from like watching people doing figure eight cornering in a field, because if you can't corner really well in a field, you're not going to be able to corner on horse face. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so I just know from a coach's perspective, it's hard for me to see how high their inside pedal is or how low it is when I'm watching them in live action. It would be so much harder for me to watch them on a video because it's hard for me to see when the sunlight and everything. So like if, of course, I think any kind of online, as long as this is a good coach teaching the right things, is better than nothing. But I think like any sport, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you have that same coach who you trust there with you in person, and even the nonverbal stuff that he or she is going to say, like, man, I really like what you did. That was awesome. Hey, just change this one thing. Just maybe try this one thing. Maybe you don't like it, but just try it. It's going to be hard for a coach to see that from a video. And it's also going to be hard for the client to receive that personality through video feedback. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's the best thing that you can do, but it's better, definitely better than nothing, right?
Yeah, and I think
100%.
it fills a void, right? Because
Sure,
I feel like if it wasn't there, there'd be a need for it, obviously.
for sure.
So, I think it's good. Just like I said, coming from an athlete and an enthusiast of the sport, I think if you're looking for coaching, man, if you have the time for it, and if you can make time for it, a one-on-one coaching session with a coach there's nothing like it. So
Yeah, it's very good. Like I can't think of one coaching session that I've had in terms of a private lesson that I haven't really felt like I got my money's worth. And like I said, I've had a lot of them, like more than I can count. So and a lot of it's that personality thing, that just, encouragement, like, oh, you're doing good. You don't quite have it yet, but maybe this will be your homework. You know what I mean? And that's nice.
yeah, and one more thing on that, man. You know, I feel like a lot of my progression comes from confidence, right?
Yes. Yes.
Which is, I feel like that's obvious.
Yes.
The problem
I
with
mean, look at you.
yeah, the problem with confidence is you get a lot of injuries. So
Yeah.
that's where like the coaching side comes in. And I've had a lot of injuries. Ross himself has had a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
And that comes with being confident and being. You go a year of like insane riding. You're confident all year, and then boom.
Yeah.
Because it's one of those things. I always have it in the back of my head. I'm like, man,
Right.
I had a concussion in X amount of time. Like, I need to
Yeah.
watch out, dude. Like, it's stuff like that. I do feel like I progress by just being confident and following other people. But going back to what we said earlier is like, man, having that coaching and being able to be safe on the bicycle,
Yeah.
it's something I really didn't think about till I was a little bit older. Because you need to be healthy.
Yeah. And one thing I would say on that is I was just having a conversation with Jake at Windrock, who was Jackson Goldstone's mountain bike coach growing up when Jackson was growing up, and still there. A part of his life is going to be at the World Cup in Whistler for Jackson and everything. And I remember him. We were talking about mountain bike coaching, right? And he said that for some of his students would say, "Well, Jackson just did this," and he'd have to say, "Yeah, but you're not Jackson, so don't do that.
Don't
Like
do that.
you're not that caliber. There's nothing there's nothing bad about you. It's just that you're not able to deliver those goods, right? And a good coach can tell you that, like, you're not ready for this, whatever this is. And also a good coach can do the opposite. Like, I know Corey Rimmer did that for me when I was racing one of the muddiest races during the Tennessee National Downhill. And I was going to pull out of the race. Like, I was terrified. And he had to tell me, like, Lon, you can do this. Like, don't not do this. Like, you can do it. Like, so that's what a good coach does for you, is give you true confidence, not false confidence, one way or the other. And that's valuable because, a good coach knows you as well as you know yourself. And if he tells you or she tells you, hey, I believe you could do it, then do it.
Do it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like I'm a lot of, especially because of the amount of injuries I've had in the last 5 or 6 years. I feel like myself, like, I have to be my own coach in a way.
Yeah.
I was even riding at Jared's the other day, and we're testing stuff for Amish country, right? And these are big features. I mean, it's Amish country, so these are pretty gnarly, and we're just testing them for the first time, and it's one of those where internally in my mind, I have to be like, man, all I know how to do is jump. I've hit every big jump I've ever seen. I've hit every big drop I've ever seen. It's when you get in your head like that, that's when you get hurt. If you're capable, if you're capable, and that's what I mean. That's the stipulation, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm looking at features that I know I'm fully capable of, and that's where you have to just be confident and say, you know what, Cason?
Yeah.
You've done
Yep.
plenty of shit like this before. Now is no different. Just be confident in your ability and jump the bicycle,
Yeah.
And that's where you kind of have to just weigh those odds in your own head. And I do that all the time. But going back to the injury portion, man, like when I had an accident 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
Shattered both my wrists, got knocked out at Jared's. Like, I was out for a solid, I mean, gosh, a long time. And that, yeah, a long time. And that was the first, you know, I had broken several bones before. I had several concussions. I'd been out for a while, but that was the first time that I really got upset. Like, my riding really got upset mentally, right?
Sure.
Where I would come back and, man, I was riding green trails, blue trails, and I was like, and I was just like, man, I was like, I cannot do this. I don't have the ability to do this. Like, everything I rode for a solid year, my mental was like that.
For sure.
It's a terrible place to be, man. It really is.
I has a question on that. You broke both your wrists.
Yes.
Could you still wipe yourself?
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
So, yeah.
That's the only thing I heard.
I did my radius and ulna in one arm, and then I broke my hand in the other arm. I said wrist, but I broke some metacarpal, but I was still casted. But I figured in my metacarpal hand, I could actually use. This is crazy. I could use my pinky and my thumb to grab toilet paper.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it was the cleanest approach, literally, but it got the job done.
You had pinchers.
I could not bathe myself, so my lovely now wife gave me showers every night.
Well, that's not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, that's right.
Not that bad. And then I had two, the old trash bags over the cast.
Oh yeah, that's a terrible injury, man. That's terrible.
Brutal.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, man, I'm okay breaking some bones. The amount of concussions I had within a 2-year period was not good.
That's scary. Yeah, that's scary.
Was not good. So I've been taking my head health pretty seriously, and I almost don't go anywhere without a full face unless it's like local chill trails. So
yeah. And one thing that's helped me a lot as I've gotten older is nobody cares. Nobody cares if you can hit it or you can't hit it. Nobody cares. I mean, it's true. Like,
it is.
Like, when am I going to wheel into Windrock and tell Lucas Shaw, hey, guess what I did? No, he doesn't care. And really nobody cares. You know what I mean? So that helps.
But you know who does care? That's yourself. And that's your biggest critic, right?
Yeah, you're right.
It's brutal. And people can't get over that. And then this takes me back to another coaching point that I learned with PMBI in my level 1 is the line of skill versus confidence.
Yeah,
skill's here and confidence is here. This is what I told people at Porsche before they got in a 911. Every single speech I gave. Skills here, confidence is here. Awesome. I'm going to bring your confidence to where your skill's at. And then hopefully we can raise both of those things up. But if your confidence outweighs your skill, you going to find a metal guardrail real quick. You're going to put some silver on that red 911. Yeah. And I don't think we want to do that. And it's the same thing in mountain biking. You're going to put some tree bark, as one guy found out a couple weeks ago. You're going to put some tree bark in those handlebar bolts.
That's right.
Yeah, it'll get us all, man. But yeah, skill and confidence. It's a good scale to keep in the back of your head when you're thinking about, hey, do I want to do this? Do I know that I can do this? Yes, I know I can do this. Is it worth it? Is it worth it is, I think, another question. But if you know you have the skill for it, but you're not feeling it, maybe don't do it.
Yeah. That was my problem. And to be completely transparent, like when I started having all my concussions and injuries, probably around like that 20, 21 years old.
Sure.
And dude, there was nothing getting by me, dude.
Right. That's right.
Dude, trust me. If somebody else was hitting it, I'm hitting it. And I'm so glad over the last couple of years or so, that is something that is long in my past, but that is the repetition of my injuries, man. Was I had no fear. Literally, I remember times at Jared's old place where I had no business hitting something. No business. And I was like, you know what, dude? What does it matter? I'm gonna do it. And that's that's part of me getting hurt. Too much confidence. And now I'm at a probably the best place I've ever been. I don't do the crazy suicide, the no handers and the knacks I used to do, stuff like that. But I'm at probably the peak of my riding in that I'm very comfortable with my confidence and my skill.
Yeah.
No matter where I go, I'm okay with saying no, like you said, Lon.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, back then I was trying to get an Instagram clip because I thought, a couple thousand views, people would be so stoked and
Right.
and like my video.
Specialized would sponsor you.
And now, seriously, and now I don't give a shit, dude. It is what it is. I don't have to hit nothing. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. And, really my goal, which I think is probably your all's goal too, is there's a guy here, a local rider named Mr. Vines, and he's like 82 years old.
Rip it.
82, and he's still riding the trails. And so like you can only have so many concussions and so many broken bones and still be able to ride your mountain bike by 82 or 83 years old. Actually, you know what? I'm wrong. He's not 82. He's 90. He's over 90.
In the world.
No way.
Yeah, I was wrong.
Incredible.
Yeah.
No
it's incredible.
way.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah.
And he rides on like Oak Mountain and stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, we just got him talked out of no longer clipping in like 5 years ago and going to flats, So
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I want to be that badass when I'm 90.
They need to do a dang news story guy or something.
Yeah, so that's, I think, a good goal, right? But we're in a sport to where if we make a mistake, the risks can be so high. It's higher than probably snow skiing, where you land in the nice, comfortable snow. You know what I mean? It's a lot more dangerous than that and a lot of other sports, so
more jagged,
it's important to listen to our inner voice for sure.
100%.
So, well, I'm gonna take a little bit of a left here, and it's something that Lon and I were chatting about on the phone. It's kind of where you put your dollars, because we get caught up in mountain biking, we get caught up in motocross, we get caught up in racing. What's the latest tech? What's the latest gear? What's the newest stuff that's going to make riding better, more comfortable, faster, whatever it is that you're hunting, what's that latest piece of tech? And Lon had said something, I forget it. I was putting gas in my truck talking to him, and he had said something, and it kind of resonated, and it gave me a little thought in my head. I was like, all right, so mountain biking, we have a lot of tech based on you got more money, you can buy, more badass shit, right? If you look at soccer, if you look at baseball, basketball and soccer are the two that really stand out in my head. You got a ball, right? Okay, you can get a nicer shoe that puts more spin on it. You get the Predator shoe. Basketball, you got your hands. That's it. And the only way that the pros and the stars get better is by working on their skills. They don't have better equipment to go buy. Okay, they might have a nicer training facility, right? There might be some nicer things, but that piece of equipment, and in ball sports, this is it. That piece of equipment that they are using is, you can't make it any better. And in mountain biking, I kind of think, I'm a backstep. In those sports, all you do is you train. You do training and you work on skills, right? And that talent is what separates your elites from those folks that are going to be recreational, right? Talent, time, money, those things. Give us a little bit of your thought on that, Lon. And because I'm of the opinion that not nearly enough people actually work on their own skills, and probably 80% I'm going to throw it out there. I'm just going to stick with it. 80% of those folks that are mountain biking, their bike is faster than they are. Right.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit of your thought on that, your perspective as a coach.
Yeah. So, I've thought about this so many times, but it seems like mountain biking is the only sport I have personally experienced that has this mindset. And the mindset is, yeah, I've been riding a bike since I was a kid, or I've been riding a bike for X many years. I'm pretty good. You know, like no other sport that I know of do you say that and you actually think that you're as good as you ever could be. It just doesn't work that way. Like if you have a kid who wants to play quarterback in the NFL, he's not just going to say, well, I've been tossing the football around the front yard with my dad, and, I've got some friends in the neighborhood. I can throw a better pass than any of them. No, it's coaching, coaching, coaching. And you may have one coach, and that guy may outgrow that coach, and that coach will be the first to say, hey, I can't help you anymore. You need to go see this guy. And then that guy will punt to the next guy. And so, I don't know why mountain biking is like that. I really don't understand it. Like, all the other sports are not that I've experienced. I mean, even snow skiing, people realize they need a good coach. Motocross,
Yeah, people go get ski lessons the first time they go skiing, for sure.
Yes. I did even back like 40 years ago when my dad made me take snow ski lessons. He made me take them. Like even back that was more uncommon back then than it is now, but for some reason, and I guess have to keep my mouth shut when I hear people talking like that, or they'll say about like they're so fast on this this gravel climb. And I'm like, how's that gravel climb gonna work when you're dropping into Snake Rock at Windrock? Like, how's it gonna work for you? Like, you don't think you could learn a little bit more, maybe just a little bit from somebody to keep you from breaking your collarbone and then wondering how long you were out for your concussion? you know but yeah, you can tell that's definitely, I agree with you, Ross. And it's funny because other sports you get embarrassed really fast. Like I mentioned that the other sport I do is jiu-jitsu. Well, 90% of men overestimate their ability to fight like 1,000%. Like they think they are such good fighters, right? And then you get them in there and a 13-year-old girl can choke them out. Like it's just, but there's
that's humbling right there, man, for sure.
Yeah, but you don't know that unless you get in that experience and you get out there on the mat and you experience it, right? But then you experience it like, well, maybe I'm not as tough as I thought I was. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think a lot of people are afraid. They're afraid of hey, this facade I've built that being such a great rider, it's a lie. And I mentioned to that, 10 or 12 years ago when I took the lesson from that mountain bike coach, it wasn't pleasant because I wasn't as good as I thought I was. And nobody likes to hear that truth, like none of us do. We like to think we're the best, but whenever you kind of hit rock bottom and you think, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was, maybe I can get better. Well, then guess what? You start getting better because then you start learning the tricks of the trade, and you're still not the best, right? But you're better than what you were yesterday. And to me, any sport, I want to be the best that I can be. I'm never going to be as good a rider as Cason. That's impossible. But I can be a better rider than what I was yesterday, right? And I can ride into my 80s, maybe even to my 90s, like maybe, I don't know, hopefully, with fewer concussions. And the only way I know to get that is through good coaching, that coaches who you really believe are teaching the right stuff.
Dude, that's awesome. All right, so we're gonna flip the script one more time. What are you riding?
Oh, mountain bikes. What you
got? What are we on?
So I bought a Frameworks, and one of the reasons why I bought one is because I think a lot of Nico, and Logan, they helped coach me some at Windrock and love what they're doing. And so I have a Frameworks, a downhill bike. that I ride at Windrock and Jared's every time I get a chance. I'll be flying it out to Whistler here in a few weeks again to ride out there. And
What
then
do you
I
think
have
about that frameworks? What kind of, obviously you like those guys, but like, is there anything that frameworks downhill bike does that you really enjoy, or that, you know?
it's the best all around downhill bike I've ever owned. I mean, it's
Okay.
so neat. Like it's great. Like, yeah, I was afraid when I bought it would be too race oriented, you know what I mean? And not cover up my mistakes a little bit, you know. But it just feels great. Like it just does everything well. And man, it'll be the last downhill bike I buy. I mean, I'm just gonna wear it out. I love it.
Is it Fox suspension on it, front and rear?
It is. Yeah, yeah. I think it's maybe it's when he started selling the nicer Fox shock on it. I think that may have just been one reiteration ago, something like that. And I had another brand where I had most of all my parts on it. It was a mullet, you know, downhill bike, and I just switched the parts over to save me a little bit of money. But yeah, it's great. I love it. I love it. I have it set up here in my man cave, so when I'm watching Supercross or whatever, you know, I can look over at my frameworks. You know, it's just too nice to have them in yours.
That's cool. That's cool, man. What else you got?
And then I have two e-bikes. I have the transition regulator with the new Bosch motor, and then I have the Santa Cruz, the newest version of the Bullet with the same Bosch motor. Those companies have been great for my business. I've got a couple local bike shops that have been really good for me. And I know I used to be so hard on e-bikes. I used to say, well, that's just for people who want to smoke and they don't want to get in shape and everything. And now that's all I ride is an e-bike and a downhill bike. But I will say that I had a back surgery that had some major complications about 2 years ago, a minor back surgery with major complications. And I practically had to learn to walk again. And it was really, really bad. I was in the hospital. I was in a care center afterwards. It was scary. And that e-bike kind of saved my life because I was able to get on it. I wouldn't have been able to pedal a regular bike. And I just got so fat from being so bedridden for so long. And so these e-bikes I've lost 40 pounds, man, 40 pounds of fat. So, ride, 4 or 5 times a week and I keep my heart rate in that zone of the fat burning zone. And so I can't say enough good about them. I just love them. I could probably ride a regular bike now, and be fine with it, but my regular bike is my downhill bike. So
Dude,
love
you're
that.
so rad, Lon. I love it, man.
Man,
But there's so much fun.
this is so sad. So obviously we're big e-bikers on this podcast.
Yeah.
When short story, when we were in North Carolina for my bachelor trip,
Yeah.
I pedaled around my brother's mega tower, and dude, it felt like both brakes were locked up.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I could not believe how long it had been since I pedaled on an acoustic bike.
Yeah.
It literally felt like I was towing a trailer. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much fun. And we have a tech climb that we do here that's actually a trail that's meant to go downhill. It's legal to ride up it, but only insane people would ride up it. And we have a bunch of us that ride together and we count how many dabs you get on the way up. Whoever has the lowest amount of dabs wins, the buddy competition. And on the e-bike it is, it's impossible on a regular bike, but on an e-bike it is so hard. Like it is so hard not to touch a tree or dab or stick a foot. And I just love it. Like, and my heart rate is out the roof, because all you can think about is don't put your foot down. So the e-bikes open up, I think, some new versions of riding that just would not be as fun on a mega tower or something like that. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it all the time on this podcast. Sometimes I feel like it's an e-bike podcast, but I mean, this morning was like a great example, man. Like I went and rode trail, and in a very, very short amount of time before work. And that's something like I thought about it, man. If I had an acoustic bike, I would not be waking up to go ride.
Sure.
It just wouldn't happen. So, that's the difference is like, am I going to go ride in times that I would never get to go ride or am I going to go rip? So it's awesome. I mean, there's endless possibilities about them. And Bosch makes a great motor system. Those Santa Cruzes are amazing. I worked for a Santa Cruz retailer for quite some time. And the transition, I'm a big transition fan as well. And then of course Specialized. So everybody's making good bikes now.
Specialized makes a great e-bike, and you know what? The bottom line is ride whatever you have fun with, because we're not getting paid to ride. This is what we're doing for recreation. So like, if you enjoy a certain type of riding, I'm not going to try to convince you to do what I do. Like, have fun. Don't try to convince me to do something else though, because I'm not going to do it.
I ain't doing it.
Nope.
Do.
Awesome, man. The e-bikes have been good though. And dude, I feel like we talk about it too much. So many haters, but I feel like to going off of what you said, I feel like it's kind of calmed down now, where it's kind of, people just kind of stay in their lane about it. And you don't really have that problem. And I have an SL and a full power, and having those two is amazing.
Yeah. And one of the things that kind of shut me up about it was because I used to be a hater, before I went through my surgery and everything. But there was a guy, and I actually met him at Windrock, and he had served in the military, and he had some sort of lung problems from some of the areas that he served in the military, and he had an e-bike. And I'm like, why would I ever like talk down to him? Like, he served our country, and like, yeah, like that's all he can ride. I mean, my gosh, man, it's so good that he's out there, and we don't know what people are dealing with. Like, nobody knows. So like, if you want to ride this bike, ride it, have fun, don't get an electric motorcycle on the mountain bike trail, but ride what you want to ride that's legal, and have fun, and you just want me to have fun too. Let's all have fun. And as a matter of fact, you guys sometime, hopefully you can come to Alabama, and I'll show you some of the rock slabs that we built. You would like them. They're legit. Like, they're legit.
I need to get back to Oak. It's been a long time. We did when the Third Coast Enduro with Brett Noisette and Brent Noisette and all of them. We went out and did a photo shoot out there. And man, Lightning was so fun. Blood Rock was so good. I need to get out there and go do a ride for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. We will take you up on that.
Yeah.
Have you rode Ride BHM at all?
Yeah. Actually, that's where I actually teach my basic jumping course. I just taught at that clinic just a few weeks ago, and then I'll teach another one in November. Yeah.
What's your opinion on that place?
Well, I think that in our area, I think it's hard to find the demand of people who want to jump. I think that we have a huge demand for more traditional cross country. I think that's what most people like in our area. So it's hard to talk people into jumping. You know what I mean? Like, if they don't want to jump, they don't want to jump, and so, when you have a jump place, it's probably a little different than, like a jump park in Asheville, North Carolina, or something like that, where there's a higher population of people who are interested in that. So it's tough to get people on board with jumping when they just want to do cross country. And again, who am I to tell them what to do? You know what I mean? I personally love to jump. You know what I mean? I'm not the best in the world at it, but I enjoy it. I want to be good at everything I do. I'd rather be like a C plus or a B minus in everything than an A plus on my fitness and a D minus on my jumping skills. You know what I mean? But that's me. That's just me, and who's to say that I'm right,
Well, so and a question to follow up on that on the ride BHAM is I've seen a lot of the stickers, I've seen some of the videos and stuff like that. So for those folks that are listening that don't know, what would you compare ride BHAM to? Like, because you've obviously been around, you checked that place out. Is there another park that it's similar to, or what's the kind of trail layout there?
So their signature jump trail is called Canuga. And It has a feel like double wide does at Jarrett's. It's shorter than double wide. The jumps are built well like double wide. It doesn't have the trail armor on it, so it's different. You know,
No
it can
carpet.
close. Yeah, kind of like Jarrett's used to be. Whenever the rain would come and they'd have to close before they got the trail armor, which the trail armor is so good. It is so much
Good stuff.
safer. You know, like you're not going to land on some cantaloupe-sized rock that happened to make it out there and cause you a crash. You know, but they have that signature trail, which is a lot of fun. And a buddy of mine who's just a volunteer trail builder, he built like 12 different really steep chutes out there that I say over and over, that's my Windrock training. Like, or my Pacific
Got it.
Northwest when I'm going to Squamish or I'm going to, you know, the Pacific Northwest, I'll hit those chutes and they are gnarly. They are steep. They're every bit as steep as some of the sections at Windrock. So that's really nice for me with my e-bike. Like I'll try to like hit every one of those chutes. Which is a nice thing to have here in Alabama because that Windrock's 4 hours from me. So
Yeah.
I've been driving that, for a lot of years, but it's still 4 hours and, it's 8 hours by the time you're done. So that's a lot of driving, to get steep, but the problem
Is it a pedal park? Or
so they do, I use my e-bike. That's what I use, but they do have a shuttle that they run, a pickup truck with a bike trailer, that they do. I think it's just one day a week. But
like a Saturday or something.
Yeah, it's either a Saturday or Sunday, and great bunch of people there that are running it. It's I would love for it to explode, but it's just the gravity scene is you guys know, like of all the mountain bikers out there, it's a very small percentage who want really steep windrock or want nice big jumps like at Jarrett's. Like we are the minority, you know what I mean? And and then you add on that also have an e-bike, well then you narrowed it even more, you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, I mean it's love the hard work that's been put in there, and of course I want them to succeed like Jared's. But it's hard, it's hard when you don't have a lot of people who are interested in that type of riding and they just want to do what I would call an easy, long cross country loop. You know what I mean?
Lon, have you ever got to ride Pine Mountain in Georgia?
I don't think so. That doesn't sound familiar.
We need to get Lon to Pine, man.
We need to get Lon to Pine.
Ride Pine, baby.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, I'd love that.
It's
it is
probably some of the steepest riding you'll do, and
wow,
in the southeast, it's good. It's 15 minutes from me now, but it's over here in Cartersville, Georgia, and they're not the most legal trails in the world, but they're fun.
Yeah.
They're not the most illegal either, though.
They're not.
They ride the line between the two.
Yeah, I would love that, man. I'd love for you guys to guide me there. You could make sure I don't get in over my head. I'd love that.
Oh, dude, you'd have a ball, man.
Yeah, I'll send you a video when we get off this pod of some pine riding. It's all over my Instagram. I'll shoot it over to you. But if you ever plan a weekend and go to Jared's, it's a short drive from.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, well, let's do that sometime. I would love that.
We can make it
so much fun. Yeah, for sure.
It's about 1,000 feet, and we probably have 8 or 9 trails. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's great on e-bikes.
Yeah, the climb trail is fun too.
The climb trail is fun on the e-bike.
It's technical, yeah.
Before we get off, Lon, I kind of want to, both Ross and I are good friends and family are Jared's place. So I want to get your take on Jared's, man, and what do you like out there? What do you think Jared's is doing for the community and just the bike park as a whole?
Yeah, so I mean, I've ridden all over the world, a lot of different places, and it's right up there with the funnest, safest jumps, And I think the thing that really helps it a lot is the trail armor, because some places you're riding, like I don't have to ride dangerous jumps. Like I'm doing this for fun. Like I'm not getting paid to jump on a World Cup downhill course. Like I don't have to do it. Like, I'm a customer. So as a customer, what I'm looking for is jumps are dangerous enough even when you know how to jump, and you'll see some high level pros make a mistake. I think, remember one year Amare Piron, he landed on his front wheel at the end of one of the races and rode it out, like one of the best riders in the world. And so jumping is already dangerous, like just when you jump. So to take away as many other risks as possible, I really like that. And I think the trail armor really does that at Jared's, because it keeps those big rocks from making it their way out into the landing that could cause a problem. So, yeah, I think it's a great thing. And they're just doing some really good work there.
What's your favorite trail there? Your personal favorite?
I do double wide over and over.
Yeah, I knew it.
I do double because they're big. They're not so big that I am worried about whether or not I'm going fast enough to clear them. So I'm actually able to work on my style just a little bit, just baby style, and have fun with it. But they're big enough to where they're a challenge for me, and I don't want to go any faster than that. I worked my way up to upper air supply, but I just was going so freaking fast for almost 60 years old. Like, I'm in a tuck and I'm just like, this just doesn't, like, I'm just going too fast for
that
what.
Moon Booter's a big boy at the end of upper, man, where you land on the green carpet. That's a big jump.
It's a huge jump. And I never got that jump, but I was working towards it and I saw it, and so, but anyway, it's kind of the limits thing that you're talking about, Cason. Like, it just, but yeah, I love that place. I always try to work in that place and Windrock in one trip, because Jared's is on the way to Windrock for me. So I usually don't do the top trails at Jared's because they remind me of Windrock, and I'll do that type of riding at Windrock. So I'll just focus on the jumps at Jared's, and then I focus on the steep tech at Windrock. And for me, that's an awesome weekend. I come home, my shoulders are hurting from all the workout, my knees are hurting, my back's hurting, and I'm like, this is great.
Mouth's hurting from grinning too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've been up to Windrock, man. I need to make it happen.
Dude, I need to get back up there too. Yeah. I had another question for you. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier with all your travels. We'll just call it in the U.S., man. If you could pack your bag, if you won the lottery, you could pack your bags tomorrow, and you could go anywhere that catered to riding. Where would you head? What's your kind of favorite destination, or what's your favorite set of trails, or where'd you go?
Yeah. So if I had kind of a bucket list of trails that I would want to hit, I would try to do like 4 ecosystems. One is I would try to go to a place like maybe Big Sky, Montana. That bike park is really rad, and you get the high mountain experience. So that would be one of the genres. Number 2, I would try to get like a desert environment, and I would go to southern Utah, like hire a guide, like Gooseberry Mesa, go to the first Red Bull Rampage site. And I like southern Utah a little bit better than I do Sedona and Moab, because there's not as much exposure. If you mess up and some of the more popular trails there, you're gonna die. Like, you're not coming home. So I like southern Utah a little bit better. The third place I would go would be I like a McKenzie River Trail in Oregon. It's surreal. All the different things you see, it's amazing. It looks like something from Lord of the Rings. And then the last place a lot of people don't think about is Florida. So I would go to Alafaya River State Park in Florida. Nice jumps. You're going to see an alligator, great winter riding, and not a lot of riding, but it's so unique. Like, you've got, it's as unique as Moab is, or, southern Utah. It's just in a different way. So I would try to hit those 4 systems that would be a pretty neat goal.
And so in that, you just said, and this is my own personal vendetta, man. I have some friends that are like absolute cinders that are scared to go. You said Southern Utah and like the OG Rampage site. So you've been
Yeah.
and you've ridden some of those trails. You can have so much fun at the OG Rampage site and not have your tires leave the dirt.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. What's neat about it is you can see what the big dogs are doing.
Yeah.
You can see it
You
and
look up.
appreciate it. But then you can find little 3 and 4 foot drops with a nice transition that you can
Yeah.
actually send it, and yeah, it's a really neat thing to experience. And you're so close to, Gooseberry Mesa and some of the other places there. So
Well, have you ridden Flying Monkey?
no, I'm not. I was kind of creeping up to that, but I was afraid that may be a little too difficult for me, and maybe a little
Dude, you
much
you are
exposure.
definite monkey. Yeah, you've got the monkey for sure. Now King Kong, now that
Yeah,
one, King Kong's a whole different story. But dude,
yeah.
monkey, if you're riding Windrock, you can grease Flying Monkey for sure.
I want to go back because you're right on the edge of the national parks of the park. There was
Yeah.
it Arches? Yeah, is that what it is? Arches?
Well, Zion's right there.
Zion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zion's right there, and
Yeah,
Springdale
yeah,
and
yeah,
everything. But Gooseberry is incredible trail.
yeah,
Like Zen Trail and all the stuff back
yeah,
toward
yeah,
Hurricane is
yeah.
absolutely incredible as well. But yeah, all those folks that watch Rampage that are like, man, I wish I could go do that. You know what? You can. You can
Yes,
start on these 3-foot drops and two
you
foot
can.
drops. Your tires
Mhm.
don't have to leave the dirt, and you can have the absolute best time you
Yeah,
have ever had in the U.S. in some red soil. It's amazing.
it really is amazing. And like, uh, I do have to do one real quick plug. My
Hit it.
favorite place in the whole world to ride is just outside of the United States. So I'm just cheating a little bit, but it's called Alice Lake in Squamish. And the reason why I like you'll see a lot of videos. Remy will do a lot of videos there, and Johan will do. But their rock slabs are the best in the world, and there's so much progression. Like it's just I try to go there every year because that's kind of my jam, and there's so much fun. Like all these different rock slabs, and they're all like you can find a lot of progression there, and they're safer than like some of the ones you'll run into in Sedona or um, you know
Yeah,
you're not get if you miss it, you're not most of the time you're not going to die, right?
you're
You're
good.
just going to get scuffed up. You're not going
Yeah,
to get a call, and somebody's going to have to figure out how to get you from the bottom of the canyon to your corpse. So that's not my thing.
Lon, have you ever rode the Blackcomb stuff like Dark Crystal,
I have,
uh,
yes,
Hay
yeah,
Butt, and all those trails?
yeah. We
That's man.
that's so good. Yeah, and Pemberton is nice if you get rained on a lot out there. Yes, Pemberton runs better in the wet. So we always have that as a backup plan, and we did get rained on one time and went up there. So those trails are pretty cool too. But, all up through there is my favorite, Washington State. But I like Squamish the best. And I think
Mhm.
Squamish is rad. We did a
it is
heli drop in Pemberton. And
nice,
dude,
nice.
the heli was that was an incredible trip.
I bet so. I
Yeah.
bet so.
Yeah,
Well, hey man,
I
okay.
have.
Good, Cason, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I haven't had the chance to ride like legit Squamish, but I've rode Mount From, and Mount From was pretty sick.
From
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right outside of Vancouver. That was cool.
yeah. The North Shore, that'd be considered North Shore, wouldn't it?
Yeah, technically.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. There's just so much riding and so
So much
little
stuff.
time, bro.
Yeah, and you're only there for a short amount of time. Wish
Yeah,
I'd be there for months.
yeah.
Well, boys, this one flew by. This was incredible.
It's good.
Thank
Yeah.
you guys for having me on. I appreciate it very much. It was an honor.
Thank you, brother. Before we get off, I know Ross is probably about to say it, but where can people follow you? Where can people schedule a lesson with you? How can they do all that? Plug all your doodads and any videos or Instagram
Sure.
or books that you have. Let the people hear it.
That'd be great. Thank you. Yeah, my website is fairly easy to remember. Singletrackskills.bike. all run together. And then I think that's my Instagram page too. And you can find everything you need out as far as my group clinics on my website. And I'm always, putting another one up there when I'm ready to teach another one. But sure do appreciate it very much.
If you had one piece of advice you could give to your future and or past students, what would that be?
I would say probably piggybacking on what you guys were talking about, us being our worst critic. I would say try to be a little bit easier on ourselves and just push for getting 1% better at our sport of mountain bike every day. Don't be hard on
1%.
yourself, but also don't get lazy. Just 1% better every day.
One of my favorite things I do every time I ride, I force myself to do one thing that I'm scared of, or one thing that I'm just a little bit nervous about, or something.
Right. Exactly.
Even if it's just a little something.
Yeah, exactly.
A long way.
And if a day comes by that you don't feel like you have to do that, that's okay too.
Okay.
Like some days you're just not feeling it.
Enjoy your ride. Yeah.
But I think as a whole, you kind of want to do that. Like, can I get this corner without brakes, today or whatever,
Yep. Yeah, stuff like that. Well, thank you so much, Lon.
Guys. Thank you very much. And I can't wait to come out there and ride Pine Mountain with you, and then have you guys come down here and let me show you the off the track goods that you would not normally see in a race.
We need to
put it on your style, brother.
Yeah. That'll be fun.
Down. Cheers, everybody. Thank you for listening. And thank you so much to Lon. If you guys need a lesson or some coaching, go hit him up.
Thank you, guys. Peace.
Later.
Before we wrap this up, huge thank you to the brands that make Ridin the Line possible. Big thanks to Specialized Bicycle Components. From trail bikes and EMTBs like the Levo platform to road, gravel, helmets, shoes, and some of the best tires in the game, they're not just building bikes. They're building the full ride experience. Whether you're racing, training, or just chasing better days on the trail, Specialized has it dialed from top to bottom. Check them out at specialized.com. Shout out to CTS Media. Websites, photography, videography, and marketing strategies for brands that actually want to grow. If you're serious about leveling up your business, head to ctsmedia.org. Appreciate Shred It You're On. Innovative jersey solutions that let you run a GoPro or action cam straight through the jersey while keeping your sponsors visible. Built for riders who create. Check them out at shredityourOn.com. And big thanks to Gutter Getters, keeping homes dialed so you can stay focused on riding. We appreciate all of you supporting the sponsors and who support the show. We'll see you on the next one.